Studio 33 AD, bringing you Catholic media.
Welcome back to Studio 33 AD. And in studio here this morning, we're 1 week away now from Christmas, is our parochial vicar, Father Tim Seeger. First, before we go any further, let's clarify our terms.
Yes.
Now, for a long time, it was associate pastor.
Yeah.
For a phase.
Yeah.
So as parochial vicar, did we do a little retro? Did we go back to something earlier?
You know, I actually don't know at all.
Okay. There you have it. He's going to stick with it because we put it on.
That's what they put on the bulletin.
Yeah, it's listed in the bulletin for the email.
I know that is
there we
historically the case. I'm
Okay.
not sure when that.
All right, there you have it.
Vicar,
do
vicarious.
check back
Yeah.
next time, Studio 33, and we're going to have the big reveal.
Couldn't tell you the answer to that one. Yeah.
All right, there we go. But you can tell us the answer to this.
Uh-huh.
Last night I had a particular treat. We were at the 5 p.m. Mass on Sunday. And as the gospel concluded, Father made his way to the ambo. And I knew something good was coming because just as he was walking there, you could see on his face,
Uh-oh.
he was getting ready.
Okay.
All right, he was going to hit us with something. And that something, for lack of a title, or is authority.
Mm-hmm.
And you began to speak last night how, well, for starters, you quoted Bob Dylan.
Right.
Yeah, you had me at that one.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
and you noted that, what was the line?
You gotta serve somebody.
You got to serve somebody.
Yeah.
And it's true. It's a reality of life.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of folks don't think they want to serve anyone,
Right.
but you're only
Right.
fooling yourself.
Right.
Yeah. So you were setting this up because it followed from one of the points in the gospel.
Yeah.
Where authority was challenged.
Right.
Who is this Jesus?
Right.
Why should we follow what he says?
Right.
But why'd you decide to kind of go with that one point of the gospel?
Yeah, so I mean, I thought it was thought-provoking when I was reading through the gospel. This is John 1, but not the famous John 1 in the Word. In the beginning was the Word. It's the other part of the chapter we don't focus on as much, those parts. And I found it odd that in this brief section, the word sent is used 3 times, where, you know, this and it's at the beginning of paragraphs. And so we see that John the Baptist is sent from God, it says. It talks about the scribes and the Pharisees. The scribes and the Levites who are sent from Jerusalem, and then the Pharisees who are also sent. And so I noticed, they're all operating out of authority. They're all operating out of a power structure that they deem to be valid. And they, based on that power structure given to them, they operate in the way they do. John the Baptist sees himself as above all these guys, and because he's been directly appointed by God the Father. But the other 3 groups, they have something to hang their hat on, which is the fact that the great religious authority of their day has given them the ability to question who this guy is. So they were just trying to do their job. So I found that to be an interesting thing to hone in on.
So the 3 groups that you're referencing,
Yeah.
are we talking now about the Sadducees, the Pharisees?
Yeah, so it says in the gospel, it talks about, I don't think it mentions the Sadducees specifically, but it mentions the Pharisees, which it means those who, pretty famous to most Christians, but the separate ones is what it means. Those who really went to great lengths to fulfill the law of Moses. And actually, a lot of people don't know this, the school of thought that Jesus himself was the closest to of Judaism of his day. But then there are also the scribes, those who are writing the scriptures, which is not like it's like today where you just anyone can write. It's like maybe 5-10% of the people can write, and so they're doing that very special job. They're very knowledgeable themselves. And then we have the Levites, who are something like the religious of our day. Something like the religious of our day. They had vows to God. Their tribe was set aside by God not to receive any inheritance. Rather, they would manage temples and all the religious sites. And so those 3 groups were all asking, and they all were commissioned by God back in the Torah to go to do these things. And so who's this? Who are you? New guy on the scene, you know? That's what they were going to do. So.
Well, it's understandable in that time and place, the context.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, there is the expectation of the Messiah.
Right.
But I don't know. We don't have polling numbers, but
Right.
I think probably well, at least one of the main
Yeah.
assumptions was it was going to be a new King David
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
create
Yeah.
an earthly kingdom.
Right, very much political.
Right.
Very
So
political. Yeah.
Jesus is a blind spot.
Right. Yeah. And
If
certainly
that's
John
your
the Baptist,
assumption of the
too.
Messiah.
Right.
Right.
And John the Baptist even more, because this guy is you're wearing camel hair. Who are you?
Yeah.
You know, like
And eating locusts and
right.
honey. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So big time, we're checking this guy out. Like you can imagine if someone showed up in the church today and was like, "I am a great prophet" or whatever. He's making all these proclamations. We would be sending people out. We'd be sending priests and religious and canon lawyers out to be like, "Who the heck do you think you are?" So it's a very human reaction, you know.
And so
Yeah.
often, and you noted in your homily, you gave some examples like ...
Uh-huh.
Well, according to the CDC,
Right.
right? So we always do this,
Right, the argument.
because we always make claims to
Yeah.
authority.
Everyone believes in authority, whether they think they do or not, right? And so, trust the science was the big one we heard a couple years ago. Trust the science.
Yeah.
Even though you can, science you can do a lot of things with science. You can prove many different things with science, but it was just this very open-ended appeal to authority. We also get people who believe that their own authority is, they think that they are the greatest, their own reason is the greatest authority that they can rely on, which is sad because that they're limiting themselves to anything outside of their experience. I was just reflecting on the fact that if you've never been to England and you believe England exists, that's on authority. That's a very basic claim that no one would say is too wild, but it's based on authority. You're believing that this geography book is true. You're believing that this person who says they've been to England has actually been to England. It's a real place. That's authority.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone believes in authority, whether they think they do or not.
So why believe in the authority of Jesus?
Well, it just gets, you have to examine his credentials, which is exactly what the Pharisees did. He challenged, can anyone among you convince me that I have sinned? Or can any one of you point to any sin that I've done? And no one could do it. That was what's so amazing about him. If they could prove he was crazy, then they could have thrown him away. But they couldn't because he knew the law better than all of them. Like, he was more sane than all of them. So you look at his life, so sinless, sane, certainly able to work great miracles. Anyone who objectively reads through the Gospels sees that these are not mythical accounts.
Mm-hmm.
These are very much historically grounded accounts. And so you have to look at these miracles and say, you can't dismiss them out of hand as being supernatural because that's a logical fallacy. You're saying there can't be miracles because there's no supernatural and therefore there's no miracles, right? And so you have to look at and objectively evaluate him. And then if that's true, if all those things are true, you have to look at the claims that he made, which is essentially that he is a divine person. And if that's true, well, then you got to look into the claims of the different Christian denominations. Which one has the greatest claim to being the one invested with the authority by Christ himself? And I think, without going into too much historical detail, I'll let you check it out for yourself, anyone who's watching this, that is the Catholic Church. Despite all its many flaws and problems, it is the Catholic Church.
Yes, in our OCIA, Becoming Catholic program, we're using a book by Brandon Voigt, who works with Bishop Robert Barron.
Mm-hmm.
And in addressing it, he put quite a bit of emphasis there at the very end of the Nicene Creed.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of Christianity,
Mm-hmm.
the test is to explore one, holy, Catholic, and apostolic.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Before there were any major Christian divisions, all the Christians who were around decided on this. So which one fits the criteria?
That's
Exactly. Yeah. So there you go, Nicene Creed.
Yeah.
We'll do it every time.
Well, thank you, Father Tim.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
It was your homily was great, and well, you had me when you said history. That's for the history fans at home. But thank you very much, and especially for your service here as a parochial vicar.
Yes. Yes.
Stay tuned for the meaning of associate
we'll find
pastor.
that out. Yeah.
That'll be a big reveal next time here in Studio 33 AD.
Studio 33 AD, bringing you Catholic media.